The clock on Jason Bennett's computer read 11:05 p.m. when his phone buzzed against the oak desk. He almost ignored it. Some spam number, probably, or a client who couldn't respect boundaries. His finger hovered over the dismiss button. Then he saw the preview. 2 photographs loaded first. His wife, Emma, wrapped around another man in what looked like a hotel room. Her face was unmistakable. The man's wasn't visible, just a shoulder, a torso, hands where hands shouldn't be. The message beneath was simple. $50,000, 72 hours, instructions to follow. Ignore this, and your boss, your parents, and everyone on your wife's social media will see everything. Don't be stupid. Jason's coffee had gone cold an hour ago. He didn't notice. His hands stayed steady. 2 tours in Afghanistan had burned that particular weakness out of him. But something cold settled in his chest. He zoomed in on the first photo. The bedding was generic, hotel quality. A distinctive lamp sat on the nightstand, brass with a green glass shade. Behind Emma's shoulder, he could make out a sliver of artwork, some kind of abstract print in a dark frame. The second photo. Different angle, more compromising, but the same details, same lamp, same artwork, same choreography. He studied his wife's face, her expression, the way her hair fell. Something about it nagged at him, something he couldn't quite place. Jason didn't wake Emma. He didn't storm upstairs to demand answers. Instead, he opened his laptop and began running the images through every tool at his disposal. By 3 a.m., he'd confirmed the phone number was a burner, useless. The photo metadata had been professionally scrubbed. But he'd also noticed something else. The quality of the images suggested they'd been taken with a decent camera, not a phone. And the lighting was too good, too consistent. This wasn't a hidden camera catching an affair. This was staged. He sat back in his chair and let out a long breath. Either his wife was having an affair and someone was capitalizing on it, or something else entirely was happening here. 7 years of marriage. 5 years since the wedding, 2 years of dating before that. He knew Emma. He knew the way she laughed, the way she cried, the way she looked when she was lying about eating the last of his ice cream. But did he know this? Emma came downstairs at 6, still in her robe, hair mussed from sleep. She found Jason at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee growing cold in front of him. "You look terrible," she said, pulling open the refrigerator. "Did you sleep at all?" "Couldn't. Work stuff." The lie came out smooth. He watched her reflection in the window as she poured herself orange juice. She looked tired too. Normal tired, not guilty tired. But what did guilty even look like? "You're going to burn yourself out." She kissed the top of his head as she passed. "I've got an early meeting. See you tonight?" "Yeah, tonight." She paused at the doorway. "You okay? You seem off." "Just tired, Em. Go. Don't be late." He watched her leave, listened to her car pull out of the driveway, and then sat in the silence of their house, wondering when it had started feeling so quiet. The drive to work was a blur of traffic lights and second-guessing. Jason ran through the past few months like footage on fast forward, looking for the frames that didn't fit. She'd been more protective of her phone lately. He'd noticed. Hadn't said anything. There'd been a few late nights at work. Nothing crazy. Nothing that didn't have a reasonable explanation, but still. Some distant looks when she thought he wasn't watching. He hated himself for cataloging these things, for treating his wife like a suspect. But the photos on his phone demanded answers, and his training demanded methodology. At lunch, he ducked into an empty conference room and ran a reverse image search on both photographs. Nothing. They weren't pulled from anywhere public. These were originals, taken specifically for this purpose. His phone buzzed. Same unknown number. Payment instructions. Bitcoin wallet address follows. Clock is ticking, Jason. 68 hours remaining. The use of his first name made something tighten in his gut. This wasn't random. Whoever was doing this knew him. Knew them. That evening, Emma was already home when he arrived, something simmering on the stove that smelled like the garlic chicken recipe she'd gotten from her mother. "Good day?" she asked, not looking up from the cutting board. "Same old." He set his bag down, loosened his tie. "You?" Client presentation went well. Jenkins finally signed off on the Harmon account. She scraped chopped vegetables into a pan. "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I might have to work late a few nights next week. Quarter-end stuff." "That's fine. I've got that Seattle trip coming up anyway." Did she relax when he said that? Did her shoulders drop a fraction? Or was he imagining things, seeing betrayal in every shadow? They ate dinner making small talk about nothing. He watched her across the table, this woman he'd built a life with, and tried to figure out which version of her was real. Later, in bed, she fell asleep within minutes. He lay awake listening to her breathe, wondering how many lies could hide in a sound that simple. David Brooks looked exactly the same as he had in Kandahar. Shaved head, permanent 5 o'clock shadow, the kind of face that suggested he'd either been in a lot of fights or caused most of them. Probably both. So, let me get this straight. David leaned back in the diner booth, his untouched coffee steaming between them. Someone's blackmailing you with photos of your wife getting cozy with another guy, and instead of going home and losing your mind, you're sitting here asking me to help you investigate? That's the situation. You're either the coldest man I know or the smartest. I'm not cold. I'm just not stupid. Jason slid his phone across the table. Look at these. Tell me what you see. David swiped through the images, his expression professional, detached. Then he paused. Huh. What? The guy. No face in either shot. Not even a partial. That's deliberate. And the positioning. He zoomed in. Her body language is wrong. Wrong how? I've seen a lot of infidelity cases, brother. Cheaters usually look like they're having a good time. She looks like she's enduring something. Jason felt something loosen in his chest. I noticed that too. Doesn't mean she's innocent. Could mean a lot of things. David handed the phone back. But it's interesting. What do you need from me? The Bitcoin wallet. Can you trace it? Maybe. I know a guy who knows a guy, and he hesitated. And? You want me to look into her? Your wife. Jason didn't answer for a long moment. I need to know what I'm dealing with before I confront her. All right. David stood, dropped a 20 on the table. Give me 48 hours. The hotel was the third one Jason visited that evening, a business-class place near the airport with the kind of generic elegance that aimed for memorable and landed on forgettable. But the moment he walked into the lobby, he recognized the lamps. I'm considering booking for a company event, he told the front desk clerk, a young woman with tired eyes and a customer service smile. Would it be possible to see one of your standard rooms? Of course, sir. Let me get the manager. 20 minutes later, he was standing in room 412, and there it was. The brass lamp with the green glass shade, the abstract artwork in the dark frame, the exact bedding from the photographs. His wife had been in this room, in this bed, with someone. The question was when, and why. The next morning, David called with answers Jason hadn't expected. Found something interesting in your joint accounts. David's voice was flat, professional. Over the past 14 months, there have been regular withdrawals. $3,000 a pop, every 15th of the month. Cash. The statements show ATM withdrawals at different locations, but always cash. Always 3,000. 14 months? Like clockwork. She's been juggling credit cards to cover it, adjusting the budget here and there. Unless you're looking for it, you'd never notice. Jason sat down heavily on the edge of his desk. $42,000. His wife had funneled $42,000 somewhere over the past year and change, and he'd never noticed. That doesn't make sense, he said slowly. If she's having an affair, why would she be paying someone? Unless she's being blackmailed too. The picture shifted, reframed. Something that had looked like betrayal started to look like something else entirely. Fear. She was in the kitchen when he got home, standing at the sink with her back to him, shoulders hunched in a way that made her look smaller than she was. Emma. She turned. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and for a moment she looked like a stranger. Not the confident marketing director who'd commanded boardrooms and client dinners, but someone younger, more fragile, carrying a weight he'd never seen before. Jason, He set the folder on the counter between them. Bank statements. The photographs. 14 months of evidence. I need you to tell me the truth, he said quietly. All of it. Right now. She stared at the folder. Her hands were shaking. Where did you? That doesn't matter. What matters is that you've been lying to me, paying someone $3,000 a month for over a year. And these photos, he tapped the printouts. Someone sent them to me, demanded $50,000. So I'm going to ask you once, Emma, and I need you to answer me honestly. Who is he? What's going on? She broke. It wasn't gradual. It was complete, total collapse, like a dam giving way. She sank to the kitchen floor, and the sounds coming out of her weren't even crying. Not really. They were something rawer, something that had been trapped inside for a very long time. Jason stood frozen. Whatever he'd expected, it wasn't this. His name is Tyler Shaw. Her voice was barely a whisper. And this started 12 years ago. The story came out in pieces, broken and jagged. College. She'd been 19, a sophomore, when she met Tyler at a frat party. He'd been charming, attentive. The kind of good-looking that came with a wealthy family and the confidence of never being told no. At first it was perfect, she said. They'd moved to the couch, sitting apart, her voice hollow. He was everything I thought I wanted. Made me feel special, like I was the only person in the world. What changed? Everything. Slowly. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. He started checking my phone, wanting to know where I was every minute. If I talked to another guy, even a classmate, even about homework, there'd be questions. Then the silent treatment. Then other things. Did he hit you? Once. Her jaw tightened. Near the end. I was trying to leave and he grabbed me and I fell into a door frame. He apologized for a week. Said he'd never do it again. Classic stuff, right? I've read all the articles since then. I know how textbook it was, but at the time, you were 20 years old. I was 20 years old and I thought I deserved it. She laughed bitterly. My dad left when I was 12. My mom worked 3 jobs. I put myself through school on scholarships and work study. And here was this rich, handsome guy telling me I was everything. When he got mean, I thought it was my fault. When he said nobody else would ever love me, I believed him. The photographs? She closed her eyes. He took them during our relationship. I consented. I thought I was in love with him, Jason. I thought we'd be together forever. He made me think that, and then he used them. Used them how? When I finally got out, junior year, with help from my mom and Lauren, he said if I didn't come back, he'd send them to everyone. My professors, my employers, my family. He said he'd ruin me. But you left anyway. I got a restraining order, filed it in Ohio where we went to school. He backed off eventually. Or I thought he did. She met his eyes for the first time. 14 months ago, he found me again. Social media. He'd moved to our city 2 years before that. I didn't even know. And he sent me a message. Friendly at first. Just wanted to see how you're doing. And then he started demanding money. He said he'd edited the photos to make them look recent. He said he'd send them to you with a letter claiming I was cheating. He said he'd destroy everything we'd built. Her voice broke. I was so scared, Jason. I thought if I just paid him, he'd eventually stop. I thought I could handle it alone. I thought, you thought I'd leave you. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Jason sat with that for a long moment, processing. 14 months. His wife had been living in fear for 14 months, carrying this alone because she'd rather drain their savings than risk losing him. He got up, walked to the window, stood there with his hands in his pockets, looking out at the backyard they'd spent a whole summer landscaping together. 14 months, Emma. His voice was rough. You've been lying to me for 14 months. I know. I could have helped. I was protecting you. She was on her feet now, and the fear was giving way to something else. Defiance, maybe, or desperation. You don't understand what he's like. He would have found a way to hurt you too. He would have twisted everything. He's smart, Jason. He's patient. He waited years to do this. Jason turned around. His wife stood there with her fists clenched, makeup streaked, looking more fragile and more fierce than he'd ever seen her. And somewhere in the middle of his anger, something shifted. I'm not mad at you, he said slowly. I'm mad at him, and I'm going to end this. The kitchen table became a war room. Emma had kept everything. Every threatening message, every payment record, every late-night email demanding more. Tyler Shaw had been careful, but he hadn't counted on Emma being careful too. Here. She slid her phone across the table. All of it. 14 months of evidence. Jason scrolled through the messages. Tyler was smart. The language was always vague enough to maintain deniability. You know what happens if you're late? I'd hate for things to get complicated. Remember what's at stake. He never explicitly says it, Jason muttered. He doesn't have to. I know what he means. That's the problem. A lawyer could argue you're lying. We need him on record, making a clear threat. I can't, she stopped, breathed. I can't talk to him again. You don't know what it does to me. I'm not asking you to. Not yet. He set the phone down. First, we're going to learn everything there is to know about Tyler Shaw. Then we're going to destroy him. David came through with the background check 2 days later. Tyler James Shaw, 35 years old. Real estate agent, moderately successful, but not as much as he pretends. His father's got money. Old money. The kind that buys problems away. Tyler's never held a job more than 3 years, never been married, and here's the interesting part. David tapped a file on Jason's kitchen table. 2 other women have filed harassment complaints against him. Both dropped before they went anywhere. Let me guess. His father's lawyers? Got it in one. Nicole Freeman filed in 2019. Amanda Torres filed last year. Both complaints disappeared. No charges, no trial, no record. Emma leaned forward. Do you have contact information for them? Working on it. Jason studied the photograph clipped to the file. Tyler Shaw looked exactly like the kind of man who'd hurt women and sleep well after. Handsome in a polished way, smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. There's something else, David said. Your friend Lauren? She's been in contact with him for the past 6 months. Emma went pale. What? Social media. They reconnected. He reached out, said he wanted to apologize for how things ended. She's been chatting with him pretty regularly. Oh, God. Emma put her head in her hands. Lauren doesn't know. She wouldn't. She's not malicious, she's just naive, Jason finished. Tyler's been using her for information about us, our schedules, when I travel. I have to talk to her. They met Lauren at a coffee shop the next afternoon. She arrived smiling, oblivious, her paralegal's tote bag overflowing with papers. Hey guys, this is a nice surprise. What's going on? Emma looked at Jason. He nodded. 20 minutes later, Lauren was crying into her latte. I had no idea, she kept saying. He was so nice. He asked about you, Emma. Said he felt terrible about how things ended. Said he'd changed. He hasn't changed. Emma's voice was gentle but firm. He used you to get to me. It's not your fault. He's a professional manipulator. But I need to know exactly what you told him. Lauren listed everything between sobs. Jason's work schedule, Emma's routines, when they'd be apart. Information that seemed harmless in isolation, but assembled correctly, formed a map of their vulnerabilities. I'm so sorry, Lauren whispered. I'm so sorry. You didn't know. Emma took her hand. But now you do. And I need your help. Detective Angela Reyes had the kind of face that suggested she'd seen everything and stopped being surprised about 10 years ago. She listened to their story with professional detachment, taking notes, asking occasional questions. What you have is good, she said when they finished. But it's not enough. The photos are from a prior relationship, taken with consent. The messages are vague. His lawyers will argue it's a misunderstanding, or that you're lying. So what do we need? Jason asked. We need him on recording making an explicit threat. Pay me or else. Something undeniable. She leaned forward. Mrs. Bennett, I know this is hard, but the most effective approach would be for you to contact him directly. Tell him you can't pay this month. Get him to threaten you clearly. Emma's face went white. I don't know if I can do that. You don't have to decide now, but think about it. That night, Jason found Emma on the back porch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at nothing. I keep thinking about who I was back then, she said without looking at him. That girl who thought she deserved to be treated that way. She feels like a stranger. She was 20 years old. Jason sat beside her. She did the best she could with what she knew. Did she? Or did she just make one bad decision after another? Emma. He waited until she looked at him. You survived. You got out. You built a life. And Tyler couldn't stand that, so he came back to try to tear it down. That's not your failure. That's your victory. It doesn't feel like a victory. It will? When we're done with him. 3 days later, Emma sent the message. She sat at the kitchen table, Jason beside her, phone in her trembling hands. Detective Reyes was on standby, ready to trace the conversation if needed. I can't pay this month. I need more time. The response came within minutes. That's disappointing, Emma. I thought we had an understanding. Things are tight. Jason's asking questions about the money. A pause. Then, we should discuss this in person. Old time's sake. Emma's breath caught. Jason put his hand over hers. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. She typed the reply. Where? Friday evening. The Riverside Grill. 7 p.m. Come alone. The night before the meeting, neither of them slept much. They lay in bed, not touching, not talking, the weight of what was coming pressing down on them. He's going to try to get in my head, Emma said finally. That's what he does. He finds weaknesses and exploits them. You're not weak. He makes me feel like I am. That's his superpower. Jason rolled onto his side, facing her. Listen to me. You survived him once. You got out when most people couldn't. You built a career, a marriage, a life, and he couldn't stop any of it. You're not that scared girl anymore, Emma. And this time, you're not alone. She reached for his hand in the darkness. What if I screw it up? What if I can't get him to say what we need? Then we find another way, but you won't screw it up. How do you know? Because I know you. The Riverside Grill was upscale casual, the kind of place people went for business lunches and awkward first dates. Emma arrived at 6:45, wearing the wire David had arranged, her heart hammering so hard she was sure it would show up on the recording. Tyler was already there, tucked into a corner booth, looking exactly like he had in college. Maybe a little older, a little more polished, but the same smug confidence, the same smile that made her stomach turn. Emma. He stood as she approached, opening his arms like they were old friends. You look incredible. Time's been good to you. She didn't let him hug her. Let's skip the pleasantries. Always so direct. He sat back down, gestured for her to join him. I remember that about you, among other things. She slid into the booth, keeping the table between them. Somewhere in the restaurant, David was at the bar, pretending to watch the game. Jason was parked outside, listening to every word. I need more time, she said. That's all I came to say. More time. Tyler picked up his wine, swirled it. That's getting to be a pattern with you, Emma. First it was excuses, then delays, now extensions. A person might start to wonder if you're taking this seriously. I'm taking it very seriously. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're hoping I'll just go away, like last time. His eyes hardened. That didn't work out very well for you, did it? What do you want? I've told you what I want. $3,000 a month is reasonable. It's practically nothing compared to what you owe me. Owe you? The restraining order. The humiliation. Everyone knew, Emma. Everyone heard that you accused me of… He stopped, smiled, collected himself. Let's just say you caused me a lot of problems. This is you making it right. I made things right by getting out. That's all I owed you. See, that's where we disagree. He leaned forward. You don't get to walk away from me, Emma. You don't get to pretend we never happened. Build this cute little life with your security guard husband. He's a cybersecurity consultant. And forget everything you put me through. You're going to pay me, every month, for as long as I say. Because the alternative… He spread his hands. Well, you know the alternative. Say it. Say what? What happens if I stop paying? Tyler studied her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Suspicion, maybe. Then it passed. If you stop paying, those photos go everywhere. Your boss, your clients, your mother. And the letter I send with them will explain exactly what kind of woman you really are. Your little marketing career will be over. Your marriage will be over. Everything you've built will burn. And I'll be there watching." He smiled. "Is that clear enough for you?" "Crystal." "Good." He picked up his wine again. "Now, about that extension. We're done here." She slid out of the booth and he grabbed her arm. Hard, the way he used to, the way that left bruises. "We're done when I say we're done. Take your hand off me." "Or what? You'll call your husband? Go ahead. I'd love to meet him." "Let go." His grip tightened. She felt the old fear rising, the familiar paralysis. And then, cutting through it, something else. Rage. She yanked her arm free, and Tyler's face twisted with surprise and anger. "You stupid." And then Jason was there. He didn't make a scene, didn't throw punches. He just appeared beside the booth with David flanking him, and the look in his eyes made Tyler go very still. "We're leaving," Jason said quietly. "And you're going to stay right there. Smile for the cameras." Tyler's face went through several emotions before settling on contempt. "You can't prove anything. She came to me. Whatever she told you is a lie. I don't need to prove anything tonight." Jason put his arm around Emma. "But you're going to want to call your father's lawyer. Things are about to get interesting." They walked out together, leaving Tyler alone in the booth, and Emma didn't look back. Detective Reyes reviewed the recording the next morning. "He's smart," she admitted. "Vague enough on some of it to give his lawyers room to maneuver. But this..." She played back the section about the photos going everywhere. "This is threatening. Combined with the payment records and the other evidence, we might have enough for charges." "Might?" "His family has money. They'll fight. We need more." They got more 3 days later, but not the way they'd expected. It started with an anonymous email to Emma's workplace, raising concerns about her professional integrity and attaching suggestive, though not explicit, photos. Then a letter arrived at Jason's parents' house, implying that Emma was unfaithful and suggesting they might want to counsel their son. By Sunday, fake social media accounts were appearing, posting veiled references to scandal and linking to Emma's professional profiles. Tyler was destroying her piece by piece, and every move was just barely legal enough to avoid charges. "I want to pay him." Emma was pacing the living room, phone clutched in her hand. "Just pay him whatever he wants and make it stop. If you pay him now, he'll never stop." Jason blocked her path, made her look at him. "This isn't about money. It was never about money. It's about control. It's about punishing you for leaving. If you give in, you're just proving he was right all along. My career is falling apart. Your parents think My parents will think whatever I tell them to think. And your career will survive because you haven't done anything wrong." "You don't understand." "Then help me understand. This is my life he's destroying, my reputation, It's our life." Jason's voice cracked through the room like a whip. "When are you going to understand that? Every lie, every payment, every secret. You took that on alone because you thought you had to protect me. But we're partners, Emma. Your burden is my burden. Your enemy is my enemy. So stop trying to handle this by yourself and let me help you fight." Silence. Emma stood there, breathing hard, tears streaming down her face. And then, slowly, she nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." That night, while Emma slept, Jason parked down the street from Tyler Shaw's upscale condo. He wasn't planning anything stupid. He just needed to understand the man, the patterns, the vulnerabilities. Every target had them. His training had taught him that. At 9:15, a woman arrived. Young, pretty, nervous-looking. She stayed 2 hours. At 11:45, another woman left through the back entrance. Different woman. Same nervous look. Tyler Shaw wasn't just stalking Emma. He was running an operation. David traced both women within 48 hours. Nicole Freeman, 31. Tyler's ex-girlfriend from his mid-20s. Had filed a harassment complaint in 2019. Was currently paying Tyler $800 a month. Amanda Torres, 33. Former colleague who'd rejected his advances. Had filed a complaint last year. Was paying $500 a month. Between the three of them, Tyler was collecting over $4,000 a month in what amounted to extortion, and probably had been for years. "How do we get them to talk?" Emma asked. "Let me try." Emma picked up her phone. "If there's one thing I understand, it's what they're feeling right now." Nicole Freeman was a fragile-looking woman with dark circles under her eyes and the perpetual flinch of someone waiting for the next blow. They met at a park bench, neutral territory, Emma alone with her phone recording. "I thought I was the only one," Nicole said. "He made me feel crazy, made me feel like I deserved it." "I know." Emma reached over, touched her hand. "But you're not crazy. And you're not alone. Not anymore." Nicole started crying. "I just want it to stop. I've been paying him for 3 years. My husband doesn't know. I keep thinking, maybe one more payment. Maybe then he'll leave me alone. He won't. He'll never stop. Not unless we stop him." "How?" "Together. All of us. We build a case they can't ignore." Amanda Torres was harder. She had more to lose: a rising career, a public profile, a carefully constructed life. "I can't risk the exposure," she said over the phone. "If this becomes public, it won't." Emma had learned to project confidence she didn't always feel. "We're not going to the press. We're going to the police with evidence so overwhelming his father's lawyers won't be able to make it disappear." Silence on the line. "There are 3 of us," Emma continued. 3 women he's done this to? Maybe more we don't know about. If we stand together, we're not crazy ex-girlfriends making accusations. We're a pattern of criminal behavior. And if it doesn't work, then we're exactly where we are now, alone, paying, afraid. Emma paused. "I'm done being afraid, Amanda, aren't you?" Detective Reyes called an emergency meeting when she saw the combined evidence. "This changes everything," she said, paging through 3 files of documentation. 14 months of payments from one victim, 3 years from another. The threatening messages. The complaints that were squashed. She looked up. "We can prove a pattern of criminal behavior spanning years, with all 3 of you willing to testify." "We want him on record," Jason said. "One more time, something undeniable." "I agree. Do you have someone who can make contact? Someone he doesn't suspect?" Everyone looked at Lauren. "I can do this." Lauren sat at Emma's kitchen table, pale but determined. "He trusts me. He thinks I'm stupid. Let him keep thinking that." "It's not without risk," Jason warned. "If he figures out what you're doing, then I'll get scared and run away like a ditzy blonde. It'll be in character." Lauren's jaw tightened. "He used me to hurt my best friend. Let me fix it." They spent 2 days preparing her, role-playing scenarios, anticipating Tyler's manipulation tactics, installing the recording equipment David provided. Thursday morning, Lauren sent the message. "Emma's falling apart. Jason's leaving her. She's desperate. She'll do anything to make this stop." Tyler responded within the hour. "Tell me more." The bar was quiet on Thursday evening, the kind of place people went when they didn't want to be noticed. Lauren arrived first, nursing a drink she didn't intend to finish. Tyler slid into the booth beside her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and aggressive like everything else about him. "Thanks for reaching out." He smiled, and it was charming, genuinely charming, which made it so much worse. "I've been worried about Emma." "You should be." Lauren kept her voice light, slightly breathless. "She's a mess. Jason found out about the money and he's furious. He's talking about divorce." "That's unfortunate." Tyler didn't look unfortunate. He looked pleased. "I always thought she could do better than that guy." "She's saying she'll pay anything to make this go away. Anything." "Is that so?" "One lump sum and you disappear. That's what she's offering." Tyler leaned back, studying her. "How much are we talking?" "She said 100,000. Everything they have." Something lit up in Tyler's eyes. Greed, vindication, triumph. "Well, that's more like it." "So you'll take it and leave her alone?" "Sure," he shrugged. "Why not?" "I've made my point. She's learned her lesson. 100 grand and I'm a ghost." He laughed. "Honestly, the money was never the point. It was about respect, about making sure she understood that you can't just walk away from me without consequences." "The other women too? Nicole? Amanda?" A flicker of surprise crossed his face. He hadn't expected Lauren to know those names, but then he smoothed it over. "Maybe, if they come up with enough." He leaned closer. "Between us, Lauren, this has been the easiest money I've ever made. Find women with something to hide, remind them of who's in control, and watch the checks roll in. My father thinks I'm finally getting serious about real estate." He laughed again. "In a way I am. I'm developing property. Human property." "That's..." Lauren swallowed. "That's smart." "I know." He touched her arm, and she managed not to recoil. "You're a good friend, Lauren. Maybe when this is all over we could get dinner. Properly." "I'd like that." "Perfect." He stood up, dropped cash on the table. "Tell Emma to get the money ready. I'll be in touch with instructions." He walked out without looking back. Lauren sat very still for 30 seconds, waiting until David gave her the all-clear signal from the bar. Then she walked calmly to the bathroom and threw up. Tyler Shaw was arrested at 6 a.m. the following morning. The charges: 3 counts of extortion, multiple counts of criminal harassment, and 1 count of criminal menacing from the restaurant incident. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 victims, years of documentation, and a recorded confession so explicit his lawyers immediately started negotiating. Emma watched from Jason's car as they led him out in handcuffs. He looked smaller somehow, diminished, the confidence stripped away to reveal something petty and pathetic underneath. He saw her watching. For a moment, his face twisted with pure hatred, and then the car door closed, and he was gone. "It's over," Jason said. "Not yet." Emma was trembling, but her voice was steady. "The trial, the publicity, there's still a lot to get through." "We'll get through it." She looked at him, really looked at him, and reached for his hand. "Thank you for believing me. For not..." Her voice broke. "For staying." "Em." He squeezed her fingers. "Where else would I be?" 3 months later, Tyler Shaw accepted a plea deal. His lawyers had convinced him the evidence was too strong for trial. 3 victims, documented patterns, a recorded confession. Even his father's money couldn't make that disappear. 8 years in state prison. 8 years without parole eligibility for 5. Emma read her victim impact statement at the sentencing hearing. Jason sat in the front row, along with Nicole, Amanda, Lauren, and Emma's mother Patricia, who'd flown in from Ohio. For 2 years you made me believe I was worthless. Emma's voice didn't shake. She'd practiced this too many times for it to shake. For 12 years after that, you made me afraid of my own shadow. You made me lie to the people I love. You made me doubt myself, hide myself, apologize for existing. She paused, looked directly at Tyler. You failed. I'm still here. I'm still married. I'm still successful. And you're going to spend the next 8 years in a cell, knowing that you couldn't break me, that you couldn't break any of us. And when you get out, we'll still be here, still living our lives, and you'll just be... She smiled slightly. Nothing. A cautionary tale. A footnote. You tried to make me small. You tried to make me afraid. But I'm not afraid anymore. And I never will be again. The drive home from the courthouse was quiet. Emma stared out the window, watching the city scroll past. The coffee shops and office buildings and apartment complexes, all the ordinary infrastructure of ordinary life. You okay? Jason asked. I don't know. She turned to look at him. I thought I'd feel something. Relief or triumph or closure, but I just feel tired. That's probably normal. Is it? I don't know what normal feels like anymore. He reached over, took her hand. We'll figure it out. 2 weeks after the sentencing, they had their first real fight since everything ended. It wasn't about Tyler, or the case, or any of the obvious things. It was about dishes. You said you'd empty the dishwasher, Emma said. I said I'd get to it. That was 3 days ago. So empty it yourself. That's not the point. Then what is the point? They stood in the kitchen, glaring at each other, and suddenly Emma started laughing. We're fighting about dishes. We are. Jason ran a hand through his hair. Seems kind of stupid, doesn't it? It's wonderful. She wiped her eyes. It's so wonderfully normal. He pulled her into a hug, and they stood there in the middle of their messy kitchen, holding each other like they were afraid to let go. I think we need help, Emma said into his shoulder. A therapist. Someone who can help us figure out how to be us again. Yeah. Jason pressed a kiss to the top of her head. I think you're right. The therapist was a middle-aged woman named Dr. Patel, who had a calm voice and the kind of office that managed to be professional without being sterile. Trust isn't a light switch, she told them during their third session. You can't just flip it back on, it's more like a muscle. You have to rebuild it slowly through consistent action over time. I didn't break trust, Emma said. I was trying to protect him. You made decisions about your shared life without him. You hid important information. You spent joint resources without his knowledge. Dr. Patel's voice was gentle but direct. Those are the facts. The intention behind them matters, but the impact matters too. Emma looked at Jason. Do you still trust me? He was quiet for a long moment. I'm learning to. Again. That's honest, Dr. Patel said. That's a starting point. 6 months after the arrest, Emma gave her first talk at a survivors support group. Lauren was there. So was Nicole and Amanda and about 20 other women with their own stories, their own scars, their own battles won and ongoing. I spent 12 years being afraid, Emma told them. Afraid of my abuser, afraid of being judged, afraid of losing everything if I spoke up. And you know what I learned? The silence was worse than any consequence he could have given me. The silence was killing me. She looked around the room at all those tired, hopeful, frightened faces. You don't have to speak up. That's your choice, and no one can make it for you. But if you're staying silent because you think you're alone, You're not. You're never alone. And there are people who will believe you, who will fight beside you, who will help you take back the life someone tried to steal. She paused, found Jason's eyes in the back of the room. I found mine. I hope you find yours. A year after the photographs arrived, Jason and Emma stood in their backyard, surrounded by the people who mattered. It wasn't a big gathering. David was there, cracking jokes and manning the grill. Lauren, looking happier than she had in months. Emma's mother, crying into a tissue. Nicole and Amanda, with husbands as partners of their own, now included in this strange little family they'd formed. We're renewing our vows, Emma had said when Jason suggested it. That's so cheesy? I was going to say sweet. Same thing. Now they stood facing each other under strings of lights, and Jason realized his hands were shaking for the first time in a year. I thought I knew what trust meant, he said. I thought it meant never being hurt, never being surprised, never having to question anything. I was wrong. Trust means choosing to stay when everything is hard. It means building something new when the old thing is broken. It means saying, I don't know how we're going to get through this, but I know we're going to do it together. He took her hands, felt her trembling too. You're not the woman I married 7 years ago. You're stronger, braver, more beautiful, he smiled. And you're still terrible at emptying the dishwasher. Laughter from their guests. Emma wiped her eyes. You didn't save me from Tyler, she said when the noise died down. I need you to know that. I'm not standing here because you rescued me. I'm standing here because you helped me rescue myself. And that's the difference between a hero and a partner. She stepped closer. I spent 12 years carrying a secret I thought would destroy us. I spent 14 months lying to protect you from the truth. And through all of it, the fear, the shame, the silence, some part of me knew that if I could just find a way to tell you, it would be okay. Because you're the kind of man who fights for the people he loves. You're the kind of man who stays. Her voice broke on the last word. She steadied herself. I choose you. Again. Every day. For every day I have left. Later, after the guests had gone home, they sat on the back porch watching stars emerge in a sky the color of bruised plums. You know what I keep thinking about? Emma said. What? That first night, when you found out. You didn't come upstairs to confront me. You didn't call me a liar or storm out. You sat down and started investigating. Jason shrugged. Force of habit. No, it wasn't. It was trust. Even when everything looked bad, some part of you trusted that there was an explanation. That I wasn't what those photos made me look like. I knew you. He pulled her closer. I still know you. Even after everything? Especially after everything. She rested her head on his shoulder. The silence between them was comfortable now, not filled with secrets, not heavy with unspoken fears. Just silence, the good kind. He's still out there, she said finally. 7 more years, but eventually. And we'll deal with it then, if we have to. But right now? Jason pressed a kiss to her temple. Right now, we're here. We're together. We're okay. She closed her eyes. Yeah, she said. We're okay.